43 years ago this thing started, and what a wild adventure it's been.
I'm a Tron superfan. It captured my imagination and showed me a world I never imagined before.
It was so groundbreaking and ahead of its time.
It really is such an honor to be part of such a legacy.
You are a user, and everything you've done has been according to a plan, right?
You wish.
In many ways, it's a masterpiece, really pushing the boundaries in technology and concept.
Started off with a big bang. Having done 3 Trons now, seeing the difference from the original to Tron Ares has been just phenomenal.
When you do a sequel, it's important to create something new, but something that also feels familiar.
The thing that was most prevalent when I first took on this project was the grids. We have 3 distinct grids in this movie, all very different and unique from one another, and color plays a lot into that.
Our master control.
We wanted to break into some primary tones, and we've never done a red world, so the Dillinger grid intrinsically kind of felt like it was going to go red from the beginning, whether it was costumes, tone, feel. NCOM, we wanted a complement to that. I like to call them these Aston Martin silver greens, which I love, and that was the through line for what the NCOM grid was.
We have a big scene that's where he's going to be transferred into the Flynn grid, as we call it.
The 80s.
And it's such a whiff of the 80s. It's amazing.
Classic.
And action.
We always knew that Jeff Bridges had to be in this. You work years making a movie, and I never feel safe until I see the person in front of my camera. You know?
It is such an open space, you know. Everything's allowed, so your imagination is really called forth. And Yoakum was just like, play around, we'll do some kind of future stuff, and, you know, let's hang out. That was the kind of the vibe. It was very casual, even though there was some very serious stuff going on. He created a wonderful atmosphere for us to play in.
Jeff Bridges is just such a naturalistic actor, but he isn't just showing up and winging it. He really got back into the character of Flynn to do this role.
For those of us out there that are Jeff Bridges fans, he's an example of like a great human being, an incredible actor. He's fun, he's funny, he's easy to love. So every second I had with him on the set was sacred.
It was such a privilege to have him. And the moment he opens his mouth in front of the camera, he's Kevin Flynn. You know, Flynn lives.
Classic humor, man. Haven't heard a joke in a while. Don't think ever from a program.
With the light suits, we wanted to move things forward and honor what had come before, but have something new to say.
It had to be a nod to the previous Tron movies, but it also had to feel like it could exist in our world.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to meet Ares.
Think of the first movie, it was a combination of like lacrosse helmets and spandex and bits and pieces, but still really inventive because they did so much with so little. Fast forward to Tron Ares, we have these highly technical suits that are all lit up.
All of the suits are made up from multiple strands of this running behind these colored diffuser components. Every suit has its own DMX board, so on set they can actually color adjust between this component and the legs. The disc is on a separate channel, helmets are all separate, and each individual suit has its own addressable channel, so everything can be fine-tuned to get the right balance.
When you wear that suit, you can't help but be transported. It feels like you're in the grid.
You are Dillinger Corporation Security Software.
You're this creature with armor and lights everywhere and disc on the back. So I loved the suit. It was very heavy, but worth it.
You know, it's not easy to wear those suits. I thought I was training to do the stunts, but really I was training to wear the suit. Because the restriction on your body is quite interesting.
There's a lot of the character in this. Makes you walk a certain way, feel a certain way. Badass.
Action!
The Honda Civic 2.0 4-cylinder, 138 horsepower. Classic.
Hey, that's my car!
Ares is basically artificial intelligence, and it was really fun because it was limitless.
What did it for me was the concept of the assets are coming into the real world. That I hadn't seen before.
I think that very much matches the reality we live in now. The lines between the real world and the virtual world are blurring.
Oh my God!
Light cycles are so iconic, and those scenes are, I think, a lot of people's favorite scenes.
Well, light cycles, you know, they have a certain place in kind of movie lore, vehicle history. And Sid Mead designed the original one. We knew we were going to do a Dillinger version of it, which gave us the license to really take it into a different direction.
We built them, we built a couple of them. And then we had what we call proxy bikes. We had like a dozen electric Harley Davidsons to match the profile of the light cycle.
And I love that there is still a large investment in practical effects. Driving through downtown Vancouver on these computerized bikes, that was really, really cool.
Jump Jet was meant to be kind of a cross between like an F-16 fighter jet and a flying wingsuit. Light Skimmer was a watercraft. If you had to kind of put it in a lane, it would be in a lane of a jet ski.
Light Skimmer. It's basically my homage to Return of the Jedi, the speed bikes going through the redwoods, basically.
And action.
When you make a movie like this, a lot of time is green screen or blue screen, and it's not really there. They do it in post, but on this film, they built a lot. The care and the effort, the work that was put into building these sets by these groups of craftspeople was just incredible.
You feel both just this magnitude and size, but also it feels incredibly real and tactile because they've worried about every last detail.
Can I trust you?
That's a complicated question. How much time you got?
60 seconds.
Doing action sequences with so many vehicles and creating that kind of world building that we do on the grid, it's extremely complex. I just wanted to shoot as much as possible reel for reel in camera.
Today we're gonna shoot an action sequence where Ares turns on the light wall and splits a cop car in two.
We've got the car already pre-cut all the way down the middle. We got power on both sides. We have steering control on both sides. So it'll split into two pieces, and then on cue, they'll kind of turn them in and they'll flop onto their sides and then skid down the road to a stop.
We had an incredible stunt team, but we did a lot of stuff on our own. I got to wear a wire. I was dropped from the top of a building.
I am a Jodie Turner-Smith superfan. She did all her own stunts in this movie, which not many actors do.
Sometimes you get cast to play an absolute badass and nobody wants to let you actually do that. But, you know, they really let me play on this.
There are these scenes where I am genuinely terrified of Jodie. Track star turns out running after me.
She don't need no trainer. I love the stuff when I crash into the NCOM offices. I get to kind of have my Terminator moment, you know, with my big laser.
We're on the 61st floor NCOM offices, and Athena arrives outside. We've got a big rig that's shaped like the jump jet that she's in, and so she's gonna fly through the glass in the back of the building there, through the boardroom, through the beginning of the office, and land in the middle of these tables over here. This is one take, so we've tested this rig. We've got a track set up with a ratchet that pulls the bird down the track, and so the ratchet's gonna pull it in at about 50 kilometers an hour. The rig weighs about 3,000 pounds.
Not only do we have Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who arguably are the best movie composers of our time, and then to hear that this is the first time they're gonna compose within the canon of 9 Inch Nails. There's nothing cooler than that.
9 Inch Nails, obviously legends. They're interested in technology and breaking the mold.
I knew this as I was shooting that they were going to do the music, so I listened to them just to get into the groove.
And cut.
Cutting.
So that helped us to try to distinguish this film from the other films.
Ready? Hope you are, man, because there's no going back.
Being on the light cycle, of looking at the recognizers, the light skimmers, and looking out over the grid, all of that stuff is powerful and a real joy to be a part of.
Well, here goes nothing. Or here goes something.
I think if I could take away one thing from this experience, it would be that absolutely amazing connection that I have, that young kid that I once was, sitting in that theater, watching this movie, being transported to another time, another place, and then to be here and working with Jeff and this incredible cast. I would point to that as being the kind of definitive, yeah, dreams are possible.
So where are you gonna go?
I have some ideas.
That's a wrap. Company's wrap. Thank you.
If we can create the hardware of the future, then why not the soldier to operate it?
In Legacy and in the original Tron movie, the light cycles are so iconic. And those scenes are people's favorite scenes. But then, how do we elevate it? How do we go to the next level?
You have 29 minutes to bring me Eve, Kip.
Stand by. This is at 80% speed.
You can't make a Tron movie in the real world without having a light cycle chase in the real world.
It has to feel grittier. It has to feel more real. We need to always be at the edge of what's possible.
This scene is kind of like an homage to Return of the Jedi.
3, 2, 1, action.
The speeder bikes through the forest in the redwoods. We even have sound effects from Jedi used in the movie in this scene. We had 6 weeks downtown. We closed down Vancouver. We shot light cycles through the streets.
Target identified.
We had Greta running until she couldn't run no more.
So much running. There are things we had to do that it's just better if you do it for real. We had an incredible stunt team, but we did a lot of stuff on our own.
We had Jodie down there doing her thing.
Something I get asked a lot is how much of this was just us operating with imagination and screens. This is actually practical.
3, 2, 1.
There's a lot of action sequences that takes place downtown.
Oh yeah, you wanna play?
We had what we call proxy bikes, where we had like a dozen electric Harley-Davidsons that were all specially built to match the profile of the light cycle, and we used them as proxies. We put light on them and we ran them through the shot to get the light to reflect on the streets and the water and the buildings, so that Industrial Light and Magic could put the CG bikes on top of some of these shots.
And cut.
Cut it. Cut.
That was great.
Transfer complete.
Bringing these assets into our world and seeing a light cycle racing down a mountain road or across a freeway, emitting a light trail behind it. That's something that we had never seen in Tron before.
I really wanted to shoot it as much as possible real for real. These bikes are doing 150 miles an hour down the street, so in some cases that wasn't possible.
You on the motorcycle! Pull over!
It's shot in camera. You can feel it, especially in the light cycle sequence, and I'm really proud of that.
Being on the light cycle is powerful. Classic. I was on that ride myself, you know, daily, and it was really exciting.
To be out there on the streets of Vancouver at night, in the rain, racing these motorcycles around, crashing cars, the more we could bring that reality to life, the better. And it's a nice juxtaposition against the virtual world.
The special effects guys, amazing team in Vancouver. They rigged 6 police cars. They were pre-cut. So they cut them in half and stitched them together, and it's being pulled by a truck on a 100-feet wire to get them up to speed. And then at a certain point, they have remote-controlled charges that blow and split the car in half.
So we would split, we'd bring them apart, and then we'd flip them onto their sides, we'd drag them.
And then the Industrial Light and Magic comes in and creates the light wall going through it. On a movie like Tron Ares, where you have a very healthy budget, we owe the audience to do this.
We're rigging up like 6 cameras, so might as well just do it.
I remember the 2 first takes. The car split, but then both sides went to the same side. These are the things that you can't control when it's all real. We had to go back, close down the bridge one more time, and the second unit got it right and got them to spread in the right direction. That's the dedication. When it comes to Tron, for a lot of compositors and artists at VFX companies like Industrial Light and Magic, they grew up with Tron as well. I think it's a huge inspiration for them, kind of like a holy grail in VFX.
My team, when they see the art, they just like salivate at the ability to work with these vehicles and to bring them to life in this space.
This particular light cycle, I started designing back in 2013. I always loved this design.
The way that they work, the machinery of it, them coming out and pushing us forward was really, really cool.
We have these 2 different riding positions. In the low position, the rider is integrated into the machine. And when you sit up, the helmet retracts. So it gives us the ability to see the actors' faces.
It feels fresh and exciting without feeling outside of what everybody knows Tron to be.
I got to work with some of the best artists in the world, and you can feel it.
They're the best visual effects house in the entire world. When people think of ILM, they think of quality and they think of a company that takes risks and breaks boundaries.
It's a very high standard. It's a very high level of artistry. We have over 2,000 VFX shots in the film. It's daunting to go into it. And you don't really know where to start, and it's almost impossible to watch the film when you're working on it, you're editing it, you're cutting it together, but half the movie is really missing until the very last moment. It's been amazing. I feel like a kid in a candy store. Every day is pinch my arm moments. You walk out on those sets, master control.
You hop on the light cycle.
Yeah.
And there you are standing completely lit up on the grid.
Now that is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Wow, this is cool.
Ready and action.
Was it hard to keep the faith when you're putting together all of these different elements that add up into something you hope is going to be amazing, but individually it's so technical and tedious or challenging?
Okay, good. Let's try and shoot it.
I would say yes to that. But then slowly but surely, as you go into post-production and you start seeing Industrial Light and Magic do their magic.
That never gets old.
And then you have the sound. And then 9 Inch Nails playing on top of it.
Let's just say I had a little help from a friend.
Then suddenly I start feeling it in another way.
Feel? I don't understand.
Okay, that was great. Going again?
I'd have this moment alone in one of these sets on a physical build of the grid.
Where am I?
The care and the effort, the work that was put into building these sets by these groups of craftspeople was just incredible. It would help transport me to another place.
The 80s. Greetings, program.
And action!
People warned me about the suit. You saw the sketches, you saw this film as a kid. The first movie, it was a combination of lacrosse helmets and spandex with foam and things glued on in bits and pieces, but still really inventive because they did so much with so little. Fast forward to Tron Ares, we have these highly technical suits that are all lit up. Circuit boards and sound and all kinds of things going on in there. It gave me what I needed to bring the character to life.
What are you?
I am Master Control.
It feels like you're in the grid. I had days where I'd look down and I'd see this crazy suit with the armor, lights everywhere, and your disc on the back. They don't do that in post.
Camera's going to zoom away from here, and you're going to throw over this side.
I loved the suit. It was very heavy and painful at times, but worth it. When was the first time you saw a skimmer?
The light skimmer was a long process to get that to be Tron-y enough, you know? This is probably my favorite scene in the movie. I always have like tons of notes.
Yeah.
And there's always like a 5-minute gap in my notes when the light skimmer comes on, because I'm just like
Well, that's the best compliment I ever had in my life.
You and Greta sitting on the light skimmer for a couple of days.
Yeah, that was great because there were, the elements of wind. Even that simple thing of having so much wind and then the motion of the bike.
Yeah.
You really start to feel like you're there.
Hang on!
It's nice to have those elements. It didn't feel stiff to me. It didn't feel forced. I actually really enjoyed that scene. What was it like working with Nine Inch Nails?
It's amazing. They elevate everything they touch. It's like 9 Inch Nails. It's kind of scary, you know? They're so collaborative.
I have some ideas.
But at the same time, they're strict with the film. They're protecting.
Sure.
They didn't want to tamper too much with their vision for this.
Yeah. What surprised you the most about the music and how it changed the film?
When we're on stage mixing the sound, oh my God, like I was levitating off the chair. We decided there's going to be certain moments in the film where the music is front and center. We couldn't have loud music and loud sound effects. We just peel back everything, we hear your voices, but not very much else. And then the song just plays. And then in Light Cycle, we let the sound effects breathe more. This was important for Trent and Atticus. The music is in the front speakers. It's like hearing the music at the concert. So you have sound effects all around you, but the music is just thumping from the big speakers behind the screen.
I just can't get enough.
3, 2, 1!
I'm all in on Tron. Tron showed me a world I never imagined before.
That's so important, to take a step back and look at yourself for a moment when you're making something like Tron. We're so lucky to be able to play around in that sandbox.
In the first one, we all wore dance belts.
I have no idea what a dance belt
right
is.
Up your ass, man. There's a strap right up your butt. So sitting down is really challenging. You know.
There are some films that just come along and they change you a little bit.
It can transcend your highest expectations, and something magical happens. Talk about your first day on the set together.
Do you remember your first day?
There's so many different approaches to what we do as actors. I had heard that you are very much into your character. Please only talk to me, you know, using my name, Ares.
Ares, like, isn't the god of war, Ares? Yeah. Cool.
So I asked, do you mind if I call you Air?
Yeah, nickname.
Nickname. I said, now I'm Kevin Flint. I created the grid. I feel like we're related. I exist in this moment because you do. And then we just had a jam that was so much fun.
It really was.
That was my first day inside the Red Room. Ares has come back from being printed.
Athena comes in.
Welcome back, sir. All units are online and ready for inspection. I ask him, so how was it?
You look so good in your light suit. Oh.
Costumes were a trip, right? Your costume, was it heavy?
I think it was 45 pounds.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's not comfortable. You've got 3 people dressing you. It's not easy to wear those suits.
It is painful.
The sets that we were faced with were so huge. And what I was impressed with from the very first day was that you understood that and brought intensity, and you filled the space, even though we were in the equivalent of an airline hangar. And I thought that was very impressive.
But you didn't answer.
I didn't? Oh. I was trying to get out of it.
Okay. If you had the chance to drive an actual Tron light cycle, would you?
Yes, however, you're lying down completely horizontal.
Actual light cycle stance is horrible for the human anatomy.
But it would be amazing.
Hang on!
Tron was the first time that I watched your work, 1982. So for me, it's all kind of surreal to sit here with you.
Fascinating.
My favorite part was working with
When
you.
I slapped you.
That was your favorite part.
We both ended up doing a lot of our stunts.
Yeah.
You got to act off of some really amazing practical machinery that was built.
One of the stunts that I had to do, Ares and I fall through the glass so we can get away. I couldn't do it without screaming and laughing in a way that was not suitable to the character. My last day, they made me do it again, like for real, in the light suit. It's just the coolest, you know? When else am I gonna be dropped from the sky?
Would you want to be friends with the Dillingers in real life? Their decor is so dark.
No, I wouldn't be friends with them at all because of their aesthetic.
Yeah.
And because they have dubious moral compasses.
You're hacking Encom?
Oops. I have played a lot of very serious characters.
Yeah.
Like Elizabeth Dillinger, I'm usually quite stern, but I actually have a sense of humor. Yeah.
The world sees what I have created. All will be forgiven. What I liked about the character was he was very driven and like obsessed with trying to succeed and live up to, you know, your character's expectations.
You think that you're in control of this? You're not.
But because of the outside pressure and the fear of failure, it just sort of creates this monster.
Checkmate.
Getting to revisit the coolest franchise of all time was amazing. Were you nervous?
Of course. Shut them down! To go onto the grid, it felt incredible.
I was such a fan of the film when I was a kid. It introduced me to technology and creativity, and it woke up my imagination. And here you are.
43 years later, back on the grid.
Wow.
Surreal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cut it there!
I was just getting warmed up. I have my own questions I want to ask you.
Greetings, program.
Attention.
Attention, please put on your safety glasses.
With 3 movies and terabytes of mythology embedded into its code, there's lots of secret programming to discover in the latest film in the Tron franchise, Tron Ares.
Our directive is clear.
Let's take a second to go back into the grid to uncover some of the Easter eggs and other clever nods hidden by the creators of the film.
I'm going in.
Let's begin with the guy who started it all, Kevin Flynn, whose original office, museum-like recreation in the ENCOM headquarters, donated by his son Sam, was inspired by the recreation of Walt Disney's office on the Disney Studios lot in Burbank, California.
Fascinating.
Kevin is played by Jeff Bridges, the only actor to appear in all 3 Tron movies.
Flynn.
Ah yes, Kevin Flynn.
Visionary programmer, pioneered the digital frontier.
Creator of the first-person arcade game Space Paranoids in Tron.
Pretty cool game.
Which was given full-on convention status in Tron Ares. On the grid, the current design of Kevin's costume is inspired by the original ensign of his 1982 Tron outfit.
Pretty good, man.
Off the grid, he's not just a programmer, but an avid gamer himself, and would often say of his playing style, wait, didn't we just also hear someone say that in Tron Ares?
It's all on the wrist, baby.
I thought so. Let's take one last look at the video games in the ENCOM headquarters. Time Narc and Code Wars also appear in Tron Legacy.
Wow.
And check out this pinball machine. This isn't the first reference to Disney's 1979 cult sci-fi classic, The Black Hole. Kevin's son, Sam Flynn, has a black hole poster in his room in Tron Legacy.
Classic.
According to these news clippings, Sam Flynn and a mysterious woman have been missing since the end of Tron Legacy. And as we know, his dad has also been missing for quite some time.
Disappeared in 1989.
In Tron Ares, Eve Kim, the current CEO of ENCOM, also starts out the film missing.
Still straight to voicemail.
Where are you, Eve?
But CEO status, genius programming minds, and questionable whereabouts are not the only things these 3 have in common. They also all drive Ducatis. When they aren't in light cycles, of course.
Classic humor.
Moving on to another Tron family tree, the Dillingers.
My grandfather started Dillinger Corporation long before anybody heard the term cybersecurity.
While the Flynns have been known as our heroes, Julian's family, starting with his grandfather Ed, seen here, have always been the big bads of the films.
You can say that again.
Often saying, "End of line!" Which not only was the name of Zeus's club in Tron Legacy, but often repeated by Master Control in the original Tron.
End of line.
And we'd be remiss not to give a shout out to the iconic vehicle the Dillingers brought on and off the grid.
What in God's name is that?
The Recognizer, which can be seen built in the design of Ares' Dillinger Grid MCP disc.
I am Master Control.
If your eyes were sharp enough to recognize those, you may or may not have caught some of the cameos throughout the film.
I don't understand.
Starting with everyone's favorite polyhedral from Tron, Bit. How about the MC at Paranoid Con? Hit like and subscribe if you recognize influencer Bella Porch.
I'm a genius.
The Dillinger Board of Directors was smart to recruit businessman, author, and internet personality Gary Vaynerchuk.
Is it alive?
And Dr. Fei Li can be seen interviewing Eve Kim.
Would you prefer to talk to a real person?
Which was filmed the night she actually gave her TED Talk on AI in April of 2024.
So much talk of AI today.
Jared Leto's brother Shannon can be seen having a slice at a pizza parlor. And flying by in the F-35s are the film's composers, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, also known as 9 Inch Nails.
That never gets old.
And the rock and roll references don't end there.
Really?
Check out Eve's t-shirt here, giving a shout out to Daft Punk, who scored Tron Legacy.
I just can't get enough.
This Depeche Mode reference,
number 8 on the UK singles chart, 1982.
happens to be the year the original Tron was released.
The 80s.
Coincidence?
Classic.
And this sticker isn't telling us how long it would take to get to the Red Planet. It's a nod to Jared Leto's band, 30 Seconds to Mars. That certainly was a lot of information to process.
Objective achieved.
The next time you watch Tron Ares, pay close attention, as there may be even more for you to decode.
Program dismissed.
End of line.
I can't believe that you wrote Space Paranoids.
Yeah, a lot of people say it. Well, I co-wrote it. You may say,
But then why didn't you get credit?
well, yeah, that is the question. No, if I'm gonna be honest with you, fame, money, that's not my jam. Oh, sorry. Hello?
Seth, where are you?
Eve, whose phone is this?
Shut up and listen. I need you at NCOM in 15 minutes.
Hey, is everything okay?
Just do what I say. Seth, bring the Shiva laser.
NCOM 15 minutes, got it.
That's my car.
Hey, that's my car!
What the hell?
Check this guy out.
Oh, well, look who it is. Glad you could join us, Miss Kim. People have been wondering where you've been. Yeah, bit of a rush, so I'm just gonna... Yeah. Eve? Yeah. I told you a billion times. Yeah. You gotta bring your badge.
Nikki, I'm sorry. My badge. Hey, you look so nice today. I swear.
Nikki, like Minaj.
Oh, no. Here we go again. Burning Man?
No, it's temperature controlled.
Hello, Nikki. Hi. Got our badge right here.
His too?
Nope, he's not with us.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. My turn driving.
You're a program.